Ruto. Remember, we are also live on our social media spaces. Straight to the news, we begin at State House, where President William Ruto is currently hosting a retreat on the institutional reforms of the African Union at State House, Nairobi. The meeting brings together 5 heads of state to discuss and strategize on enhancing the effectiveness of the African Union. Among leaders in attendance include Ghanaian President John Mahama, President Azali Osman of Comoros, Ethiopian President Taye Atske Selassie, and Guinea-Bissau's Umaro Sisoko Embalo. Africa Union Commission Chairperson Moussa Faki is also attending the meeting. We will be back with a more loaded report in regards to that meeting, but elsewhere, newly appointed members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission selection panel were sworn in on Monday morning in an event presided over by Chief Justice Martha Koome, Professor Adams Olo, Dr. Nelson Makanda, Ambassador Kokimuli, Evans Misati, Nicodemus Bore Kipchichir, Andrew Tanui Kipkoech, and Linda Kiome. Raki were sworn in with 2 members, Fatuma Saman and Karo Kituku, missing in the swearing event.
I, Adams Olo,
having been appointed as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission selection panel,
do solemnly swear
that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the future of our democracy depends on the integrity of the men and women you select to lead the IEBC. The commissioners you appoint must be individuals of untainted credibility. The duty is clear to identify the leaders of unshakable integrity, impartiality, and competence, men and women who will inspire trust in our electoral process and ensure that every Kenyan can participate in free, fair, and transparent elections.
So really, we should be on the lookout for individuals that are passionate about this country, that are loyal to this country, individuals that will carry the delicate mandate of the Commission.
And from IEBC, a section of stakeholders in the mining industry are now alleging a plot to harass legitimate business operators in the sector. Dr. Patrick Kanyoro, the chairman of the Kenya Chamber of Mines, claims the raid conducted in warehouses in Machakos County unfairly targeted businesses operating legally. He claims miners, including those involved in copper and green garnet mining, had declared their stockpiles of minerals to the government in good faith. The stakeholders are calling for robust engagement by the government, stressing that the allegations against legitimate miners were not only damaging to the sector, but also misleading to the public. The chamber, in the meantime, says it's committed to working with the government to ensure that the mining sector operates within a framework of fairness, transparency, and respect for the rights of business owners.
I want to be categorical that the material that is in that warehouse is a material that is known to government, and we have the evidence because government way back in July asked us to declare our stockpiles. It is then unfortunate that the same government can come and purport to raid our storage facilities and talk about those minerals as illegal. They are not illegal.
The genesis of this issue is of a Gazette notice that was published in 3rd November 2023 by the government. This Gazette notice was in violation of Article 10, Article 129, and Article 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And also, it was in violation of Section 5, Section 8 of the Mining Act.
In other news, the Kenya Institute of Special Education, KISE, has partnered with the National Council of Persons with Disabilities to equip players in the public and private sectors with sign language skills. KISE Director Norman Keogora launched the program at Kenyatta University Nakuru campus. It aims to boost service delivery to persons or people with special needs.
And this is a deliberate move by the government to make sure that we comply with the Constitution, whereby every government office needs to have a sign language interpreter so that we can make services accessible.
Since we've been having the challenges in communicating with the people who have a challenge in hearing, and we've not been able to communicate properly. But with this training, I know and I believe that after this, we are able to communicate well, we are able to interact with them, and they also enjoy the services that is being enjoyed by the people who are normal, like us.
Very, very wonderful, so wonderful.
To the coastal city of Mombasa, where members of civil society drawn from Mombasa County are accusing police officers of arbitrarily arresting and detaining of human rights defenders. They now want the governor to convene the county policing unit to oversee the matter and take appropriate action. Coast Civil Society Network Chairman Zedekiah Adika led the calls by the group on police officers to operate within the confines of the law. The criticism comes in the wake of Saturday's arrest of 4 human rights defenders and a journalist at the Uhuru Gardens during a vigil for the victims of the 2024 anti-finance bill protests.
Citing that the deportees need to be treated with dignity and respect if Colombia is going to engage with the United States on this mass deportation issue. They were immediately hit with a barrage from Trump, 25% tariffs on all Colombian exports, as well as visas from the Colombian government.
They were denied bail without any compelling reasons. The OCS kept advocates here yesterday and families waiting for over 6 hours, but still failed to respond to our request.
We have noticed what the executive is doing to the youth, and we will not allow this to continue. We will use whatever possible means we have within the law and within the Constitution to ensure the youth express themselves as required under the Constitution.
And still in the county, worshippers at a Mombasa church are alleging foul play in the demolition of a building hosting their church, despite the existence of a court order barring the same. The Jesus Touch the World Center Church claims their woes began when the building was sold to a new landlord, even after they had secured orders barring the sale or demolition of the building. Pastor Amos Mali claims while the church is not objecting removal from the building, they are yet to be served with a formal notice accusing the new landlord of issuing them a blanket vacate notice. The church, located at the heart of Mombasa CBD, has been the anchor tenant for more than 20 years.
Leo tumeamka na mshangao kubwa sana na tukashtuka. Tukaambiwa kwamba leo tutoke, na kwa maana leo usiku kutakuwa na ubomoaji ya orofa hii, na mimi nashindwa kuelewa kama ubomoaji ya kisheria inastahili ifanywe usiku.
Now we want the governor himself to come and assist us as the church. He came here to look for votes in our church in 2022. Alikuja kuomba kura kwetu. Sasa yeye ni wakati wake kusimama na sisi.
In other news, the solution to youth unemployment bubble will be the enrollment of youth in vocational training colleges. Chesumei MP Paul Biego says TVET institutions are equipping youth with skills that will enable them to create jobs and earn an income. Speaking during a series of inaugurations of grade 9 classrooms funded by the National Government Constituency Development Fund (NGCDF), Biego promised scholarships for students who did not meet the criteria to join universities. He further warned head teachers from sending home students in day schools on the excuse of fee arrears, since the CDF kitty has already catered for it.
Any student who has finished Form 4, let us take advantage. Let us take advantage, because right now, Chesume, we are sponsoring students to go to MSOS. So anybody who is interested in MSOS, you go enroll, uone course gani utachukua, and then you bring to me that your letter to the office.
Wakati wa kufanya kazi ni sasa hivi, na ndio tumeamua tukikuwa kwa pamoja na viongozi tufanya kazi, ama namna gani?
Embu County is in the final stages of developing a gender policy aimed at combating gender-based violence, promoting peace and reconciliation, as well as empowering women economically. During a 2-day Raia Trust and Partners workshop in Embu, the County Executive Committee in charge of gender, Jane Waroga, said the approach seeks to create a more equitable political landscape for women, while at the same time engaging men in addressing existing gaps and challenges.
Hizo policies katika gender na hata departments zingine ndizo zinapatia department mwelekeo wa kuangazia yale mambo ambayo yako kwa policy. Na sana sana katika hii policy inaangazia mambo ya GBV, inaangazia mambo ya kuhusisha wanaume katika yale mambo yote ya kijinsia. Jinsia sio mambo ya wanawake ama wasichana peke yao.
In other news, Teso South Member of Parliament Mary Emase has reiterated the urgent need for the Ministry of Education to provide clear guidance on CBC structures as school heads continue overcharging parents. Emase, who was speaking during the bursary vetting exercise in Angorom, Teso South, say after the recess, the legislators will look into complaints of Kenyans to clear the air on CBC. The legislators sentiments come amid growing concerns from parents who have been complaining that the school heads have been increasing fees tagged to lunch programs.
Kulingana na ministry, mzazi afai kulipa pesa yoyote. Ndio kwa sababu hao watoto walibakishwa kwa ile level ya primary. Lakini sasa iko ile school fees structures imetolewa na head teachers kutoka katika hizi mashule. Na pesa mingi ukiangalia ni ya chakula. Na unajua serikali ilikuwa imesema kama mzazi hajiwezi kwa hii pesa ya chakula iwe optional. Ili ni jambo lazima sisi kama viongozi, sisi kama wabunge ama legislators, lazima tukirudi bunge lazima tuangazie.
Very well, at about 13 minutes past the top of the hour, it's time for me and Lensa Odingo to take a quick break. But when we come back, we still have more news, and also in business, and also the latest from the world of sports, especially for the weekend matches. Don't go away.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday from 10 p.m. and a rerun every Tuesday from 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Your team is really full of hidden talents.
Sir, thank you. In fact, it was completed step by step, under my guidance.
You can't just neglect your health. No matter how hard we work, we're still just employees. You said before that you wanted to prove yourself to Chief. But if you collapse first, how can you slap his face?
I have had enough. Why do they always say that we are the perfect match, the ideal couple? You have to admit that you can still live well without me.
Onjini bwana. Bwana. Sasa mbona unachipanguza? Jams. Sikuelewi. Wewe haki.
Mkakazi tunakusalimia.
Tu mmenisalimia. Pantani huko. Wacha nienda nikadili na yeye mama.
Wewe. Hebu angalia kwanza pale.
Nyama sunde. Unazitoa kwa jua kunguni siburuki. Hii mmezikula hii ni ya 6 kutoka mwanzo kule.
Mba wangu ni mtu pekee ambaye nilikuwa nikimtegemea, lakini sasa hivi hajitambui.
Amejirudi. Amekuja umsamehe. Hujui kusamehe kwani wewe ni Israeli?
Nauliza hivi. Ni mimi kunisomea mbele ya kiongozi ni sawa?
Akifukuzwa Karembo, kumtoa ni mimi ni kazi ngumu. Au pengine atambura aweza kuoa.
Msichana kama huyu yahitaji afanyiwe tambiko na kusafishwa.
Kwa taarifa yako nyama ya sumu kwako ni afya kwa mwenzio.
Ama kumwelezea mtu kweli ni kumtusi, basi hata wewe pia nitakutusi.
Wasemaje?
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, money especially ukisonga.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, the Office of the Attorney General is working towards eliminating unconstitutional and obsolete laws to conform with the Constitution. Speaking after chairing a consultative meeting with the chairpersons and chief executive officers of the semi-autonomous government agencies established under the AG's office, AG Dorcas Ouko revealed that they are working with the Kenya Law Reforms Commission to ensure there are no conflicting laws in the country. She revealed that 100 laws have so far been declared unconstitutional, with 45 others termed obsolete. The AG used the occasion to call for cooperation from other state agencies to ensure the government agenda conforms to the laws under the Constitution of Kenya.
We want to use the Law Reform Commission to make sure that we harmonize the laws that we have. Some of the instances where we've been having conflicting laws is where you find that county governments are coming up with laws in the same subject matter where the national government already has a law. For example, in alcohol, licensing, and everything. So we are working together with them, and we want the Kenya Law Reform Commission to take the lead in identifying these laws and dealing with them. Soon we'll be having a conference on dealing with all the laws that have been declared unconstitutional and all the laws that have been declared obsolete, so that we check whether or not they are fit for purpose. And for that reason, there's a need for us to come together to see how we feed onto each other and how we impact the society. Because things have now changed. You no longer need big offices and a lot of human resource. With technology and AI, there is a way that we can become effective and efficient.
There is no government agenda that progresses without the service, without the support of the Honorable the Attorney General's Office and Department of Justice. So the Attorney General's Office is aligned to what the government is dealing with.
To some politics now, where the National Labour Party has refuted claims that it is working with the Kenya Kwanza administration. The party Secretary General Omondi Oyo, who spoke in Nairobi, reiterated that it is still firm in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. Oyo at the same time hailed the recent Kiambu High Court ruling, which has paved the way for progress in the process of constituting the IEBC, adding that the party will respect the rule of the Court of Appeal on the same matter set for the 28th of this month.
That the Wiper Party leader has resorted to branding the National Liberal Party and Dr. Augustus Muli as projects of the Kenya Kwanza regime. Let us make it unequivocally clear, neither our party leader nor our party leader has ever been associated with the Kenya Kwanza government. We do not even know how they smell, and we are not even interested in working with them. We are in Azimio. It is a matter of a public record that the National Liberal Party is a proud constituent member of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. Such allegations are not only untrue, but are also unhelpful in fostering unity within the coalition. The National Liberal Party, in conclusion, remains steadfast in its commitment to democracy, fairness, and the rule of law.
And from party politics to education, where the declining academic standards in some parts of Migori County have elicited mixed reactions among the education stakeholders in the region. According to the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, Migori Branch Executive Secretary Samuel Orwa Jasolo, better remuneration and motivation of teachers should be addressed to salvage the situation. He said the unresolved challenges faced by tutors have forced them to seek transfers at the start of each academic year. Orwa cited Moi Nyatike Secondary School as one of the most affected institutions, with only 10 students reporting since the start of this year's academic calendar.
Bad politics in that region. Bad politics is killing our schools. We want to call upon Mheshimiwa Nyanga, Mheshimiwa Odege, and all the stakeholders in that region to sit down with the education leaders and teachers to discuss matters and how they can help those schools. Otherwise, these schools will continue going down.
Encouraging the board of management so that they get the students, whoever reports, that name to be brought to our office so that we support them by giving the bursary so that the enrollment can go up.
Today we were supposed to have a follow-up meeting following our visit to the schools in Nyatike North, where we met several principals who mentioned to us the issues that are affecting the schools. So basically, the intention of doing this was to bring stakeholders together so that we can find a solution for the schools which performed poorly.
Let's look at the conflict in the region where M23 rebel movement claims it has seized control of Goma city in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The action coming after the rebel groups threatened to advance against the Congolese army on Sunday that saw tens of thousands of people fleeing to neighboring towns. DRC has alleged that the rebel group that has fought in the area for nearly 3 decades is backed by the Rwanda, terming the latest move a declaration of war.
According to amateur videos shared by residents of the city, M23 rebels are seen patrolling Goma's downtown streets. The allegation of M23 of seizing control comes after hours of gunfire and explosions in the streets of Goma city on Sunday. In a statement, the M23 rebels announced the city's capture minutes before 48-hour deadline expired that had been imposed by the group for the Congolese army to surrender their weapons. The rebels at the same time urged the residents of Goma to remain calm and for members of the Congolese military to assemble at the central stadium. DRC's Foreign Minister Kayikwamba has accused Rwanda of declaring war by allegedly sponsoring its troops to the country to support the M23 rebels. The hostilities have prompted the reaction of President William Ruto, who doubles up as the chair of East African Community, who has called on regional leaders to help facilitate a peaceful solution to end the conflict in the country.
The escalating conflict and deteriorating situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are a grave concern to the people and governments of East Africa. Noting the worsening humanitarian crisis exacerbated by ongoing military actions, including the closure of airspace in Goma, I call for the immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities.
President Ruto has called for an emergency regional summit in 48 hours.
I call on the parties to the Luanda process on Eastern DRC and appeal specifically to my brothers, President Felix Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, both of whom I have had the occasion to speak to this evening, to heed the call for peace from the people of our region and the international community.
The United Nations says the hostilities that have lasted the entire weekend have so far claimed the lives of 13 soldiers who are serving with peacekeeping forces. John Kahiro, Lunchtime News.
Time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. Income of 85% of Kenyans either decreased or remained flat in the fourth quarter of 2024 compared to the corresponding quarter in the year 2023. IACEA Lion Group's Elam Consumer Spending Index indicated that 61% of retail businesses across the country reported increased sales in October, November and December of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023, fueled by an increase in the number of buyers and increase in the prices of goods.
Retail businesses, which are still the biggest employers in the country, recorded increased sales in clothing and apparels at 15%, food and beverage outlets at 27%, and retail stores at 49% in the final quarter of 2024, with the exception of household fittings and accessories, where most businesses reported declined sales in the final quarter of 2024. And what was this attributed to?
Where retail businesses had increased sales, they attributed it primarily to more customers, more volume of traffic, and also they attributed it to customers purchasing additional items.
If you're wondering why your friend has more money, it's because your friend is hustling. He's getting more money from income away from his formal job. Or also, it's because he's above 26 years old.
The ILAM Q4 report also indicated stagnation of income for 61% of respondents, the highest level reported in a year, with only 24% reporting that their income had declined in the fourth quarter. However, individuals in real estate and construction sector had the largest proportion of people that reported an increase in income by 22%, while individuals in the wholesale and retail sector reported decreased incomes by some 33%.
We note that the bulk of individuals' income is spent on food and shelter, and then as well as eating out and leisure activities, with other discretionary items such as travel, savings and investments and insurance accounting for a very small proportion.
The individual spending sub-index by gender demonstrated a slight increase by 1% and 7% for both female and males respectively, but that females still outspending men at 167 against 135 points in the fourth quarter of 2024. It also emerged that to fund their purchases, Kenyans use mobile loan solutions at 40%, local shop arrangements at 19%, friend and family borrowings at 19%, goods hire purchases at 13%, and bank overdraft at 3%. Alana Oko, Lunchtime News.
Further afield, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will impose 25% tariffs and sanctions on Colombia after its president barred 2 U.S. military planes carrying deported migrants from landing in the country. Details of this and other stories in the business news wound up from across the world.
Then Donald Trump said the tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia will be put in place immediately, and in 1 week the 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. Colombian President Gustavo Petro responded by saying he will impose retaliatory tariffs of 25% on the U.S. Petro earlier said he had denied entry to U.S. military deportation flights, adding he would receive fellow citizens on civilian planes without treating them like criminals, and migrants must be returned with dignity and respect. The U.S. imports about 20% of its coffee, worth nearly $2 billion from Colombia, as well as other goods like bananas, crude oil, avocados, and flowers. Meanwhile, the UK's largest luxury car maker, Jaguar Land Rover, says it will invest 65 million sterling pounds to expand its bespoke paint services in response to growing demand from wealthy customers. The plan includes opening new paint facilities in Castle Bromwich, UK, and Nitra, Slovakia. The firm, which is owned by India's Tata Group, says it expects to more than double its bespoke paint operation, including helping clients match the color of exclusive Range Rover SV models to their private jets or yachts. Finally, coal exports from South Africa's Richards Bay Coal Terminal rose 10% to 52.08 million metric tons in 2024, the highest in 3 years amid signs of improving freight rail performance. South Africa's coal shipments have declined from 76 million tons in 2017, mainly due to state-owned freight rail and port operator Transnet's lack of capacity to haul commodities to export markets. Coal exports through RBCT, South Africa's main coal export terminal, fell to 47.21 million tons in 2023, the lowest since 1992. Transnet's struggles are blamed on a lack of locomotives and spares, as well as cable theft and vandalism. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
On matters sport. sports, the Kenya Judo Federation President Shadrack Maluki has said they will send a number of coaches from the grassroots to the second International Judo Federation seminar set for the 27th and 28th of February this year at the Kasarani Stadium. Maluki noted the seminar will be used to create more awareness about the sport and its changing trends.
The Kenya Judo Federation recently held a training seminar at Kasarani led by Italian coach Alfredo Pietro and attended by 50 coaches and referees from across the country. In an interview with KBC, Shadrack Maluki, who is also the first vice president of the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, added that Kenya will host a series of judo events with the main aim of promoting the sports in the country.
So there are new rules that have come up. So we want to thank also the Alfredo, Mr. Alfredo Sensei, for seeing it nice to come to Kenya and train our referees and coaches on these new rules.
He also added that the seminar will curtain raise the Japanese Ambassadors Cup, which is set to be held in Kasarani on the 1st of March.
We have a lot of competitions which are lined up. We have a calendar of events which I'm definitely going to share with you after this interview. It's so much in the international arena and also in the local league.
The Kenya Judo team is already training where they are intensifying their skills with the aim of a better performance this year. Maluki has also shown interest in vying for the topmost seat of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and has promised that if elected, he will promote the sports in the country.
The chairmanship of judo coming to Kenya, it means a lot in terms of the sport development and collaboration with the rest of the world, and especially European Judo Union, African Judo Union, and IJF.
Further afield, Lisandro Martinez lone goal assured Manchester United or the Red Devils a hard-fought 1-0 victory against Fulham in a thrilling match, English Premier League match played at the Craven Cottage Stadium to move up to 12th on the table with 29 points. Meanwhile, in the Spanish La Liga, Barcelona returned to their winning ways when they thrashed Valencia 7-1 at the Estadio Olímpic. The win leaves Barcelona third on 42 points.
A chance, and he takes it. Barcelona have the lead inside 3 minutes. Adds his name to the score sheet.
Action takes us to the tail end of this live broadcast. Many thanks indeed for joining us. More news at 4, 7 and also at 9. We're also keeping tabs with what is happening at State House, where President William Ruto is hosting 5 presidents in regards to AU matters. We'll bring you a detailed report in our subsequent bulletin. My name is Bentro Njue. Many thanks indeed for joining us, and allow me to also thank Lensa Odingo, who has been our sign language interpreter, and my director Jacqueline Wasalot. Many thanks, and keep it Channel 1.
In search of a cultural hub that fosters a vibrant community, and we have found such a hub in Cape Town called the Old Biscuit Mill. It is home to a prime slice of South African innovation, creativity, and is well worth exploring. But before we get into the mill's vibrant, bustling community, we take a trip to Uganda to discover their most popular street food, edible Rolexes. We travel to the tropical island of Cape Verde to meet Raquel Pinto, a model on a mission to spread body positivity among other African models. meet Ted Josiah, Kenya's most renowned luxury handbag creator and devoted father, with a powerful story. I'm Palisa Dembe, and you're watching Afrimax. Johannesburg, South Africa, let's meet Lebogang Mutawung, a fine artist and hairstylist who's using hair braiding to create unique identities and represent Black women around the world.
What is hair braiding? More than a simple craft?
Hair braiding is art, and I want to show it in galleries, in big canvases and large scale so that people can appreciate it more.
Johannesburg resident Lebogang Mutawung is a hairstylist and fine artist. Her mission is more than making women beautiful. By combining her two vocations, weaving hair pieces into her drawings, Lebogang is exploring the intersection between hair, identity, and asking people what their hair means to them.
I studied fine arts at Vaal University of Technology. While I was studying, I was majoring on drawing, printmaking, and sculpture. Yeah, this is while I was studying, I supported myself by doing people's hair. I've always been an independent person from a very young age. I was plaiting people and I was literally taking care of myself. I stopped asking money from my mother. Are you ready to do your hair? I need to get some pictures for references, right?
Yes. My hair means a lot to me. It means that I can express myself. It's very important for what Lebo is doing with how she is representing Black women's hair. And I think a lot of people are now realizing that our natural hair is actually beautiful. Seeing my hair turned into art makes me feel so proud.
In 2015, I got an opportunity to go to a residency in Boston, in America. I saw how everybody was doing their own unique thing, just not scared to try new things. I saw people using different materials. Some of them I've never even seen before. It's stuff that I never even thought could be art, you know? And that inspired me a lot to also try and do my own thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm here, I'm not at home. Let me just get out of my comfort zone and try something else. And I bought a pack of hair extensions. I've always wanted to use it, but I was scared of how it was gonna be received, you know, because it's hair.
Lebogang uses her hairstyling skills to create the reference images for her paintings, which she later sews synthetic hair onto.
The first thing was to find the middle part, and then I first braided that, and then I'm gonna do another line here so I make it four, and then they're all gonna join together here to make a ponytail, which I'm gonna do with this hair that I have here. There are limitations to what you can do on a human head, especially because the hair that we have is different. Sometimes it can be very short. Some of the hairstyles are very time-consuming. It can take a lot of time, and for somebody to sit down while waiting for their hair to be done, I feel for the person also. I do hairstyles on people, but I enjoy doing them more on canvas because I know I'm not hurting anybody, and I can take as much time as I want. When I'm done with it, I usually exhibit it in different galleries. I've exhibited in a lot of galleries in South Africa, other galleries in the US. For me, hair is art. My hair is the one part of my body that allows me to be creative. It allows me to express myself however I want. When I think of myself, like literally my hair is the one part of my body that allows me to express myself however I want. My work, it celebrates the art of hairstyling. I want people to look at my work and be able to see themselves.
Hair braiding is a pastime dating back to around 3,500 BC in Egypt as a way for people to socialize together because the braiding took so much time. This is something that has very much remained a part of the hair braiding tradition and the community that it creates.
I've always been inspired by the people around me, mostly my clients. I'm very interested in the conversations that I share when I'm plating people. If you go to townships, there's a sense of community that comes with hairstyling. In African cultures, hairstylists are very important. We are artists. We are creating something, you know. These beads, accessories, and colors, we don't just come and hoy them on the hair. It's like it's done in like very skillful way. I think I managed to show that in my work, that it is art.
What Lebo's doing with her art is actually inspiring young kids as well to say that, listen, our hair is also beautiful. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be any form that you feel.
It makes me feel so good to see people buying my work, especially when I see people overseas. It makes me feel so proud of myself. When I'm no longer here, I'll know that my art will live on.
Lebohang's inspiration is her own lived experience of not being allowed to express herself through her hair at school. She's working day by day to make sure that other African children have the freedom to be themselves however they see fit.
And you know, for little ones that grow up in that house seeing my art, I feel like it's very good. For these kids to actually grow up in a house looking at my work, I feel like it'll do something. I feel like it'll be good for them also.
The Old Biscuit Mill has become one of Cape Town's biggest creative and social hubs, opening its door to a wide variety of cultures whilst creating a community of artists, markets, designers and connoisseurs. I'm joined now by the director of the Neighbour Goods Market here at the mill, Benjamin Cox. Now, Benjamin, the mill has evolved to become one of Cape Town's most renowned creative hubs and market spaces. What is the history of this unique location?
Yeah, so the original building was actually a 19th century flour mill. There are old silos on site as well, still. The original old red brick industrial factory and warehouse buildings are still here.
The mill was renovated from a derelict space. What was the process from design to execution?
I think initially coming in with a very light touch. A lot of it was restoration. You know, the core of the space and of the building is still very, very sound old industrial architecture. And then once that was done, I think coming in with an approach to more modern materials and more modern spaces and embellishing what existed already. So it's become a very beautiful combination of original 19th century industrial space with modern architectural touches on top of it.
Now, Benjamin, how does the mill incentivize and promote the local creative and designers, not only in the Woodstock area, but Cape Town as a whole?
That's where the Neighbour Goods Market comes in. So the market was conceived to create a platform for creatives, both in design and in food, to really come, set up, meet their customers, meet the public, to display their work in a rich, vibrant environment where, you know, you've got an incredible amount of foot traffic and curiosity, people pouring into the mill every single weekend. And that's what's kind of really made an impact for the local design industry. We are essentially a gateway for young businessmen and businesswomen in the design world to start their business from the ground up.
We're now at the Potluck Club, one of the most amazing spaces in the mill. But what other exciting activities can one get up to on a typical day at the mill?
So the mill is, as I said, all about food and design. So it's the perfect combination because you can shop and eat at the same time. Starting with the first micro roasters in the country, really, Espresso Lab on the ground level is the most incredible coffee you could possibly have. And then really it's all about wandering and exploring. There are so many spaces where there are local artisans creating products and growing their businesses in studio spaces. So you could go to Fields, which is one of the most beautiful local labels that's emerged in the last few years. Their space and their showroom is in the courtyard. And what more could you want to end a day of shopping than canapes and cocktails?
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you so much, Benjamin, just for speaking me through this incredible creative hub.
You're welcome.
We now hit the streets of Uganda for the cultural street food phenomenon with the Rolex guy, a man with a vision who saw an opportunity with the roadside dish of rolled eggs and turned it into the most unique snack you can find.
Bet you never had a Rolex like this before.
This is a Ugandan Rolex. In Uganda, we do not wear the Rolex, we eat it. It comes from the word rolled eggs. It's the best and most popular street food in Uganda.
The Ugandan Rolex is not just a popular street food, but a cultural phenomenon. It is widely loved and has even been the subject of a popular song. Many consider Rolex to be a national dish, not to mention it has graced several international food festivals. Now, it's the Rolex guy's mission to give it a new makeover.
As a Rolex guy, we reinvented it and created different types. For example, this type that I have has avocado, mayonnaise, and salads in it. From the different types of ingredients used to the different tastes that each Rolex has, you will tell a difference. For example, we've got one of our most sold, which is Ankoko, which has chicken gravy that is well spiced and made using organic products. This mixed together with the salads, eggs, and chapatis gives you a very unique taste.
The Rolex is normally sold by street vendors who can be found cooking the chapatis and eggs on portable stoves or griddles. While the origins of the Rolex are not entirely clear, it is believed to have been inspired by a combination of Indian and Ugandan cuisine. Chapati, which is a staple food in Uganda, is thought to have been introduced to the country by Indian traders and settlers. The addition of eggs and vegetables to the chapati wrap is a distinctly Ugandan twist that sets the Rolex apart from other similar dishes.
The Rolex is a roadside snack, commonly made with chapati and eggs. They are made on a charcoal stove, and this is often by the roadside.
Emmanuel Okello is about to change exactly that.
Welcome to the Rolex guy. I will show you around. This is our kitchen, and this is my co-founder, Njue. I will show you the other side of the restaurant. We've got a sitting area around here, information about Uganda, the maps, and the books. Over here, we do have a display area for organic products that we do sell for some startups around. This other side, we have got more of the sitting area, some artwork, and where customers can sit and enjoy themselves while they have their meal. First and foremost, the Rolex street food is very popular. And second about it is the most unique thing about Uganda, in my opinion. We saw the opportunity of innovating around the Rolex, and that's why we took up the Rolex. Rolex is a Ugandan thing because originally, before, there was a chapati and the eggs, but they were never mixed together. We got the eggs and mixed it together with the chapati and came out with the Rolex. Today, it is the most unique snack you can find on the street. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. Many people were not receptive to it. But I'm glad to say that today, many have tasted and seen the better taste or the better experience that comes with the new Rolex.
Enjoy it while sitting down or even having it delivered. Emmanuel cares about his guests' wishes.
I will deliver this Rolex to the customer because for some orders, I like to deliver them personally.
Plus, he relies on cycling as eco-friendliness is part of his revolutionary Rolex concept.
I love cycling because it keeps me healthy. It helps me even during the deliveries, especially for customers I need to deliver to personally. I have loved cycling since 2018, sometimes cycle even longer distances. And because we even have a cycling community, it makes it easy for us to network and still stay healthy.
The Rolex guy caters to the growing startups who constitute the urban youth of 16 to 35 years.
So my name is Precious. I like products from the Rolex guy because they're super cheap and very delicious. And the other reason is because since it's a fast food, it's always delivered on time.
With over 17 types of Rolexes to choose from, the Rolex guy has definitely mastered the art of reinvention. Time to sit down and enjoy this go-to meal a la Kampala.
Mjomba wangu ni mtu pekee ambaye nilikuwa nikimtegemea, lakini sasa hivi hajitambui.
Amejirudi. Amekuja umsamehe. Hujui kusamehe kwani wewe ni Israeli?
Nauliza hivi, ni mimi kunisomea mbele ya kiongozi ni sawa?
Akifukuzwa Karembo, kumtoa ni mimi ni kazi ngumu. Au pengine atambura aweza kuoa.
Msichana kama huyu yahitaji afanyiwe tambiko la kusafishwa.
Kwa taarifa yako, nyama ya sumu kwako ni afya kwa mwenzio.
Ama kumwelezea mtu ukweli ni kumtusi, basi hata wewe pia nitakutusi.
Wasemaje?
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday from 10 p.m. and a rerun every Tuesday from 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we have to do it twice.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday. With me, DJ_Liza Diva.
DJ Colda.
And me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Sleep. We spend a third of our lives asleep. Almost every other living organism on Earth either sleeps or rests as well. It's needed for our survival. Elephants may sleep as little as 2 hours a day in the wild, while lions sleep up to 20 hours. For we humans, researchers say 7 to 8 hours a night is necessary to maintain good health. But for many of us, sleep is elusive. I'm biologist Marita Davison, and in this episode of VOA Tech, we investigate the science of sleep and some of the reasons why we're not getting the restorative rest our bodies so desperately need.
Powering the future. Confronting the world's challenges with cutting-edge solutions, medical breakthroughs, and high-tech discoveries. These are the stories of our planet. This is VOA Tech.
So this is one of our typical bedrooms that we study patients in.
This comfortable room could be in any hotel around the world. Instead, it's part of a sleeping laboratory run by Dr. Ronald Popper in Thousand Oaks, California. He is the founder of the Southern California Pulmonary and Sleep Disorders Medical Center. Dr. Popper's expertise is in diagnosing and treating a wide variety of issues that impact sleep. Sleep can be thought of as one of the most puzzling of human behaviors. When we sleep, we cannot eat, nurture our young, or even protect ourselves from predators. Yet through evolution, sleep persisted. So we spend, most of us, about a third of our life sleeping.
Correct.
Why do we sleep?
Some of the oldest theories were that sleep protected us against animals eating us at night. So
really?
we would sleep in dark environments, not be moving around so predators wouldn't find us. Some of the other theories are that sleep allowed us to have the rest we need to conserve our energy so that we could hunt and forage during the daytime. The more current theories are that it allows us to do repair and growth and regulate our hormones so that we function more perfectly during wakeful hours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a biologist, and so I often think in terms of evolution. And to me, sleep is a vulnerable state where you are potentially primed to be preyed on.
And that first theory was shot down relatively early on.
Yeah, but yet, so if survival is the key here, right, when you're, a third of your life spent being that vulnerable, it must be a really essential thing if evolution has acted on it that way.
Correct.
So how essential is sleep then?
Well, sleep really needs to be viewed as one of the essential parts of life, just like drinking and eating are necessary for survival. There are cues that we get. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're thirsty, we drink. When we're sleepy, that's the cue for us to rest.
Our bodies have a built-in clock that regulates our sleep and awake cycles. It's called circadian cycle or circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm is the kind of a catch-all phrase for your internal biologic clock. It basically revolves around the 24-hour day. We get signals that are sent from this clock as the sun comes up that promotes wakefulness. As the sun goes down, we get signals that tend to promote a naturally occurring drug, melatonin, from our brain, which tends to promote sleepiness. So we tend to be awake during daytime, asleep during nighttime.
What are the different types of sleep?
Well, this has evolved over time, but essentially you have stages 1 and 2 sleep, which are light levels of sleep.
Okay.
And then they lead into deep sleep, which used to be called stages 3 and 4, which is now just combined into what's called slow wave sleep.
Okay.
And that's your deepest sleep.
All right.
And then there's REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. And that's a phase of sleep where we typically will dream. The REM sleep tends to be much more concentrated in the final third of the night. That's why when you wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock, when you're ordinarily going to get up, say, at 6 o'clock, most of the time you may get the sense that you've dreamt or actually remember some of the dreaming, and patients will say they slept their best during that period of time, when in fact, they're not at their best sleep. That's the slow wave or deep sleep.
So now talk me through the kind of stages of development. Young people, high schoolers, need more sleep. Kind of talk me through that evolution of the amount of sleep that we need as we age.
So infants sleep, up to 14 hours, 15 hours a day. From 1 to 2 years of age, they generally are sleeping 12 to 14 hours. You get into preschoolers, they're going to sleep up to about 12 hours. 5 to 12-year-olds, they're going to sleep 10 hours, 11 hours. You got teenagers, typically should be sleeping about 10 hours. And adults are going to sleep 7 to 8 hours. As you age, the amount of sleep that you sleep, the total sleep time, doesn't really change that much once you hit adulthood.
Okay.
The distribution of the sleep changes.
Tell me about good sleep, restorative sleep. What does that do for our bodies? What does it do for our brains?
When we have a good night's sleep and we get good quality deep sleep, or again, slow wave sleep, is when most of our hormones, for instance, growth hormone is secreted during deep sleep. That's where we start to manufacture more muscle. We control our diabetes. We control hypertension. All of our body settles down into a state of deep sleep or rest. So we get tissue repair, growth, and rest to conserve our energy. During REM sleep, we're going to consolidate the events of the day. We will remember events, and we will remember function, how to do things. If without REM sleep, we don't remember these things. We forget how to do things. When we're deprived of that REM sleep, we also get very irritable, more so than even deprivation of the deep sleep.
And what about neuroplasticity? What is that?
When we're awake, our brain is always making new connections with other parts of the brain to improve our daytime functioning. When we're asleep, the brain is actively involved in getting rid of some of the connections which are less important and making stronger connections to those parts of the brains. Let's say we learn something new, so we're going to make more connections to that during sleep so we can remember those events and remember how to do whatever we learned. And that's neuroplasticity, making these connections.
What would be one of those connections that is less important that we kind of, discard in that sleep cycle?
Well, let's say we injured ourselves and we had pain. If we had to constantly remember that we had pain from an event, it would be hard to function. So the brain is going to kind of clean up that connection. For instance, I'll give you a great example, childbirth. If every woman remembered the pain that they had with childbirth, they'd never have another child.
I talk about this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, you kind of forget how difficult it was, and you say, I'm going to do it again.
This is part of what goes on with the brain making and deleting bad connections and strengthening good connections. So the joy of having that child is going to be strengthened, while the pain of having that child will be lessened.
So a good night's sleep is profoundly important to one's physical and mental well-being. That's why Mark Wolf, who has been having trouble sleeping, is at Dr. Popper's center this evening to participate in a sleep study.
So I'm over 50, so I went for my routine colonoscopy. And when I woke up, they told me that although the results of the colonoscopy were just fine, the anesthesiologist said, hey, you probably have sleep apnea. And I said some version of, why do you say that? And she said some version of, because you stop breathing. So that kind of thing was interesting to me and required that I have it checked out pretty fast.
One man who makes it a point to stay awake all night is Dwayne McDade. He is a registered polysomnographic technologist who preps and monitors Dr. Popper's patients, like Mark Wolf, who are participating in a sleep study throughout the night.
We understand sleep and the various physical abnormalities that occur during sleep and that might occur and hopefully won't sometimes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all this stuff on you. I'm gonna monitor your heartbeat, your leg movements, your brain waves. Well, I actually have to analyze every 30 seconds of your sleep. So I have to say what stage of sleep you're in, how many times you breathe. If you didn't breathe at all or not, that would be an apnea. And then I have to say what kind of apnea it is, because there's actually 8 different kinds of apnea.
Sleep apnea, which is the most common sleep disorder that most sleep centers are going to see, is a disorder where there is snoring and holding of your breath or shallow breathing during sleep. And that's usually caused by excess tissue that occurs in the upper airway, meaning anywhere from the tip of your nose down to your vocal cords. So with sleep apnea, what happens is When you start to snore because of that extra tissue, your airway progressively narrows. You have to suck in harder to get the air from out here past all that tissue. Your airway is just a tube. If you think of it like a paper straw, well, suck in hard on a paper straw, you're going to collapse the straw.
Right.
That's what happens to the airway in patients with sleep apnea.
You're going to prep his head with a bunch of wires and sensors, and these are going to tell us, 1, if he's sleeping, 2, if he's breathing and how he's breathing, 3, if he has muscle tension, and 4, if he's moving his legs around, and then, of course, the heartbeat, too, so that's 5. So what these wires are that I'm putting on the head, they're going to give me what's called the EEG, and what that does is it tells me what stage of sleep you're in every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds I have to type, he's in stage 1, stage 2, deep sleep, or REM. So we just hand analyze everything.
That's insane.
Because we know that everybody is different.
That is very cool. I mean, seriously, you would just imagine that this would all be done, like a computer in the morning would spit out the answer, and that would be that.
The computer does the math. These are going to tell me if you're in REM or not. Because of the eye movements, therefore the rapid eye movement. So if I place these on either side of your ocular muscles, it gives me a reading of how your eyes are moving. It's what your eyes are doing while you're dreaming. That in the morning you're going to wake up, I'm going to know you're awake, and I'm going to query you on your feelings about your sleep.
So when I wake up in the morning, just say, hey, Dwayne, I'm awake.
No, I'm going to know you're awake before you're awake.
A total of 23 wired sensors are affixed to Mark, and then he's ready for bed.
So I'm listening to you breathe, actually, so I can hear you breathe. It's important for me to hear how you're breathing.
That's great.
So I have the microphone turned way up.
The patient will then be settled down in the bed, lights will be turned out, an infrared camera will be observing them, and the tech will be monitoring all of the body's physiology on the computer system, as well as visually observing the patient throughout the night.
No phones.
No phones, no TVs, no windows. It's a dark, quiet room conducive to sleep.
Is it the right kind of environment to get that deep kind of natural sleep that you want?
All of the normative values for sleep staging and how we should be sleeping were obtained by doing studies in a lab environment. We know somebody may be a little bit nervous. It may take them a little bit longer to go to sleep. But once they achieve the sleep, they're going to go through the same process that they would in their own bed, assuming that they're comfortable in the bed. If they're uncomfortable, they're having pain, they're having some other medical illness, that could certainly affect the quality of the sleep. But by and large, the sleep will be the same as when they're at home.
After a bit of bedtime reading, it took Mark only a short while to fall asleep.
And there he is. Sometimes people only have sleep onset type events, and he was experiencing those. Will they come back? Yes, but right now he's snoring. And that's what these are. And if I had his speaker up, you might hear him. There you go. And that's what snoring sounds like. It sounds like real snores, because actually it is real snores. So, and that snore might have woken him up, but we can check. So I'll go back and I'll see if he desaturated enough. Yeah, so that was a respiratory event. I'm going to analyze every 30 seconds of his sleep, and I'm going to wait till he wakes up. And then I'm going to ask him some questions that the doctor wants answered in the morning that explains how he feels how he slept. So how long does it feel like you slept? How long did it feel like it took you to fall asleep? Did you sleep better than you usually sleep? Did you sleep worse? Did you dream? Did you not dream? If so, what did you dream about? And did it come at the beginning of the night or the end of the night? All those mean something in the sleep doctor business, but it might just mean nothing to the patient. But every one of those questions are designed to answer, to make him slot it in more to what his disorder actually is.
All right, so I've had the chance to look at Mark's sleep study from the other night, and he slept on his right side and on his back. He got into REM sleep, which is important because REM sleep, it's often worse when you're in REM on your back. He had snoring, which ranged from mild to loud, and he had mild sleep apnea. He stopped breathing 140 times during the study. He also had restless limbs and periodic limb movements during sleep. So these are little twitches of the muscles of the legs, which woke him up an additional 17 times an hour. So he wound up having mild sleep apnea and mild restless limbs.
Hey, so I went to Dr. Popper for my follow-up, and he said that the sleep study showed that I have sleep apnea that is mild to moderate. Apparently, I stopped breathing or held my breath for about 14 times, which puts me in that category. So rather than have the dreaded, CPAP mask, which I really wasn't looking forward to, I have an opportunity to try this thing called Bongo, which is these little nasal things that go into my nose. And it'll change the way I breathe in and breathe out, I guess. So that'll give me an opportunity to see if that works. I'll come back here in a month, and if all's well, I'll need these and not a machine. If all's not well, I'll be really sad.
The gold standard of treatment for obstructive sleep apnea of any degree is a device called nasal CPAP. CPAP stands for continuous positive airway pressure. So this involves a fancy medical grade air compressor, if you will. And they're about the size of a box of Kleenex, most of them today. And you'll have a tube that comes from that, and it goes to a mask of some sort. And the masks, there are dozens of mask styles and varieties, and we don't care what the patient wears. We just want it to be comfortable. So CPAP is continuous positive pressure. Basically reinflates the airway, splints it, so they can't collapse it. CPAP is 100% effective at eliminating both snoring and apnea when it's done properly.
79-year-old Joe Sabiri did a sleep study with Dr. Popper almost 10 years ago. And since then, he's enjoyed restful sleep with the CPAP and other more recent remedies.
I did the sleepover, and they found that anything over 10 seconds you have stopped breathing is a red flag. So I was over 10 seconds 2 or 3 times during that session. I've been doing CPAP for at least 5, 6, 7 years. It took me quite a while to get a mask that fit. I started with a over-the-mouth and nose mask, and I ended up with just a nose mask, a pillow, they call it, I think. Then my last visit, which is once a year just to check the numbers, I said, are there any alternatives? And he told me about bongos, and I've been using bongos for the last 2 months, and they are a godsend.
Wow. So this is called Bongo, and this is a form of CPAP. These little white things are actually what we call EPAP, or expiratory positive airway pressure valves. This is, you put these in your nostrils. The patients breathe in through their nose. The valve is wide open. There's no resistance. But when they exhale, these are actually resistance valves, so it resists the pressure going out. Pressure backs up into the upper airway and splints it open the same way as traditional CPAP. But this is the whole thing. There's no mask, there's no tube, there's no machine, no need for electricity. This is it.
Last night, for instance, I was wearing them and I woke up a couple of times, and I didn't even know whether I was wearing them or not. When I got up in the morning, I have to check because you adapt to that.
And so are you using just the bongos now, or do you still use the CPAP machine?
I packed away the CPAP.
And now your family, your spouse, no more complaints about the snoring?
No.
That must feel...
Yeah, so that makes,
relieving.
That makes it much easier.
Another sleep disorder that Dr. Popper sees often in his practice is narcolepsy.
So narcolepsy is a disorder that it's difficult to estimate the true incidence. It's been estimated anywhere between about 0.5% to 2% of the population has narcolepsy. The reason that it's so difficult to hone in on that is that most patients have the symptoms for 10 to 20 years before they're ever diagnosed. So we don't really know how much has been missed over time. But the symptom, the cardinal symptom of narcolepsy is excessive daytime sleepiness. Now, there's a whole tetrad of other symptoms, which includes sleep hallucinations and paralysis. So as you're falling asleep or as you're awakening from sleep, You may see or hear a hallucination, or you may be totally awake, see your surroundings, but be unable to move.
I didn't find out I was narcoleptic until I was 50.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you must have had it since you were a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. My mom had a picture of me, falling asleep in my plate of spaghetti. It's just...
For the last 8 years, Carol Magno is being treated with medications that mitigate the effects of narcolepsy. We went for a drive in her car as she explained what her life was once like, trying to stay awake while driving.
Whenever I'd stop, I'd just be like, trying to stay awake. I tried slapping myself. I tried, the air conditioning. I tried, the radio full blast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just trying to engage. And so most of the time, if I could, I would just pull over and just try and sleep for a little bit.
Back in those days, what would it be like? I mean, you'd just be driving on a road like this?
I'd be driving, and like if I was going a certain speed, all of a sudden, you're just like, things are kind of getting like wavy, your eyes are just so heavy, and you're just, and I, trying to sit up and grip the wheel, and, and then if I found myself, like if I drifted, like here I'm gonna drift, you go, and, try and get back. And so I think those like little adrenaline bursts helped, but it was still very dangerous.
And you were always able to correct, but maybe it took a while.
Yeah, and it was scary.
Yeah.
I said, I'd pull over with my kids, and it's dark, and I'm somewhere where I don't know, and I'm thinking, okay, I just need to rest my eyes. I just need to close my eyes for a minute. But then it would be very scary, thinking, okay, I'm here in the dark,
Right.
My kids wake up, they're gonna think, what's going on?
Right. How long, when you would actually doze off, how long would you be out?
I would say seconds, just like a millisecond even, you know what I mean? You'd just be like, and so that would kind of be it. Like you're driving and you go.
Yeah.
And then, your eyes are, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was that constant, that head jerk, head jerk.
But in a car, when you're driving a car, that's all it takes, right?
Right.
It takes as little as 2 seconds to start to really veer off, and in 4 seconds you can be completely, off in a different direction on the road.
Right, exactly. That's why I had all my little gimmicks. I mean, as a child, where you kind of have like hallucinations, like when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
So as a child, I remember that, hearing like the tables and chairs moving.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Really freaking me out as a child. Also, I'd get a sensation of like being really small and then being really big. I know, it was pretty freaky. But I never, ever would have guessed I had narcolepsy until I was diagnosed.
Wow. And so how would you say it affected your quality of life before you got treatment?
I felt lazy. I felt like a slug. I felt unreliable, like trying to get somewhere on time to work, you know what I mean? And trying to get up out of bed, hitting the snooze, how many times. So once I was diagnosed and properly treated, night and day.
Really?
Yes. It was life-changing. It was life-transforming, yeah.
Carol takes 2 prescribed medications daily that control the narcolepsy she suffered from for years. Today, she enjoys normal sleep and awake cycles, and she can safely drive without falling asleep.
I take a medication at night. It's a liquid, and I take it twice during the night. So in bed, I'll take it, and then I fall asleep pretty hard, for about 3 hours. And then I just wake up. And then if I'm ready to go back to sleep, then I just take the second dose, go right back to sleep for like another 3 hours. And then I wake up. And the thing, though, is that you sleep hard. That worries my husband because, there's times he's tried to wake me up.
Yeah,
you're
too deep.
Right. So you're in a very, very deep sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a prescription to wake me up, kind of give me more energy during the day, I guess. So it's something that like nurses may take, you know, somebody that works long shifts. And what I love about it is, you know, it doesn't make me shaky, or I don't feel like, you know, I'm taking something to wake me up or whatever.
Yeah.
But it makes it so I'm not sleepy.
One of the most common types of sleep disorders is insomnia. It's been reported that from 30% to 50% of all adults suffer from some form of this sleep disturbance.
About half of the population will at some time experience insomnia short-term, and about 10 to 20% of patients may have long-term insomnia.
And how do you define insomnia?
Insomnia is difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep, or impairment in your daytime functioning due to poor quality sleep. There are studies that have shown that in chronic insomniacs, they are spending up to an hour of time after bedtime. If they wake up in the middle of the night, there's up to 70% of chronic insomniacs will spend an hour doing social media or on their phone or on their tablets in the middle of the night. And that's why they have chronic insomnia.
Yeah.
They're doing all the wrong things.
So what happens then when you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep? Should you get up and go somewhere else?
Absolutely. If you wake up and boom, just like that, you're wide awake, I don't even tell patients to stay in bed for up to 20 minutes. I mean, that's the most anybody should be awake in bed, 20 minutes.
Wow.
But if you're wide awake the second you wake up, I just tell my patients, get up, go into another room, start that routine, dark, quiet environment, wait till you get sleepy. Know that a single bad night is not going to kill you. You'll be groggy, irritable, moody the next day, maybe not functioning at 100%, but the next night you're going to get sleepy earlier. And if you do it night after night, you will consolidate your sleep in a much better fashion. And I tell patients sometimes it may take a night or two of being up and down all night to break the vicious cycle that's been created over the years.
Now, let's talk about COVID-19 and the stress that I think a lot of us have been feeling. You know, what impact does stress like this have on sleep?
Well, the primary long-term sleep-related end result of COVID has been a marked upsurge in insomnia complaints. 50% of patients who have had COVID have either short or long-term insomnia complaints.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And the more severe their COVID disorder, the more severe the insomnia.
I mean, as far as mental health goes, you know, we talk a lot about mental health, especially through COVID. Do you think that, you know, just the general public understands the connection between sleep and mental health?
No, I think sleep is still not taught in medical schools to the extent that it needs to be. It's still not part of internships, residencies, the way it should be. Most general physicians don't even ask patients about their sleep. In my own practice, over 50% of my patients are self-referred. Patients are getting their information off the internet. That's our #1 referring source, which is crazy. You would think it would be your primary caregivers. They're too busy taking care of their patients to think about an area they were never trained in.
And yet, sleep science is a settled science, right? There are real benefits for patients seeking out this kind of help.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've briefly touched on, you know, the ill effect of poor quality sleep. So, I mean, there's no question. Sleep, we sleep a third of our existence. There's a reason for it. We need it. And we need good quality sleep to function appropriately.
Mjomba wangu ni mtu pekee ambaye nilikuwa nikimtegemea, lakini sasa hivi hajitambui.
Amejirudi. Amekuja umsamehe. Wewe hujui kusamehe, kwani wewe ni Israeli?
Nauliza hivi, ni mimi kunisomea mbele ya kiongozi ni sawa?
akifukuzwa Karembo, kumtoa ni mimi ni kazi ngumu. Au pengine atambura aweza kuoa.
Msichana kama huyu yuhitaji afanyiwe tambiko na kusafishwa.
Kwa taarifa yako nyama ya sumu kwako ni afya kwa mwenzio.
Ama kumwelezea mtu ukweli ni kumtusi, basi hata wewe pia nitakutusi.
Wasemaje?
Your team is really full of hidden talents.
Sir, thank you. In fact, it was completed step by step, under my guidance.
You can't just neglect your health. No matter how hard we work, we're still just employees. You said before that you wanted to prove yourself to Chief. But if you collapse first, how can you slap his face?
I have had enough. Why do they always say that we are the perfect match, the ideal couple? You have to admit that you can still live well without me.
Onjiri bwana. Bwana. Sirtina, mbona unachipanguza? Jams. Sikuelewi. Wewe haki.
Mkakazi tunakusalimia.
Tu mmenisalimia. Pantani huko. Wacha niende nikadili na mama.
Wewe. Hebu angalia kwanza pale.
Nyama sunde. Unazitoa kwa jua kunguni siburuki. Hii mmezikula kula, hii ni ya sita kutoka mwanzo.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Wakajiwambe tui wakajiwamba no yakonu kumakelela muni twisto kwikonu kwatwatu kuri kwimba kundemba mutumbu kudibana bashenda mayenga yenga ani nambu bashenda makwabu bachoka dasekele eyi wakwetu nimbekene eyi wakwetu nimbe aluka bakwenda bayenga nabo kisambo motu ya yamatanyila kwetu kumaya mukama. Wakajiwambe tui wakajiwamba no yakonu kumakelela muni twisto kwikonu kwatwatu kuri kwimba kundemba mutumbu kudibana bashenda mayenga yenga ani nambu bashenda makwabu bachoka dasekele eyi wakwetu nimbekene eyi wakwetu nimbe aluka bakwenda bayenga nabo kisambo motu ya yamatanyila kwetu kumaya mukama.
Bridge of Okongwe ndio hiyo. Mwingine amesema tufanye Papana Well next
Papana
weekend.
just kick up
Tufanye
a
Papana
tap.
next week. Waje tuachie DJ Salim awachangamshe kidogo. Isikuwe ni kama nini? Si ndio? Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Mengi iko panele ingine ya radio, si ndio?
Kabisa.
Thank you.
Nilijua kuwa na mchepuko nitapata raha ya dunia, kumbe ndio kwanza nakondeshwa. Jamani, bora nibaki njia kuu, nyumbani kumenoga. Fatuma Munene. Baraka Uthmani. Oji nachepuka na kusaliti ndoa yangu. Umenifanya niwe kama kishada kilicho hari jojo. Umenifanya niwe kama kishada kilicho hari jojo. Umenifanya niwe kama kishada kilicho hari jojo. Tamu mambo sasa mami.
Kama ni pesa za matumizi na kifurushi cha mapenzi ninakupa mami.
Fresh Njue.
Kama ni pesa za matumizi na bando la mapenzi ninakupa mami.
Master Kuyega.
Kama ni pesa za matumizi na kifurushi cha mapenzi ninakupa mami.
Dr. Gombo.
Kama ni pesa za matumizi na bando la mapenzi ninakupa mami. Lakini wewe kwa karaha kutwa maumauti mwenzangu wewe uishi kunipa presha na kuniachia majonzi mwili unakonda.
Omari Seseme. Chefuko